What's up guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I started YouTube like 8 years ago shooting trial bikes videos. I took up photography professionally and commercially, so doing weddings and commercial work. This video is going to tell you 5 things that you should know before buying a used camera in 2020. So that's kind of point number 1. Have a look on eBay and see what there is. As an example, 7 years ago I walked into a camera store to buy my Nikon D3. This camera is quite old now, but it takes fantastic photos, and I still use it as a backup camera, and I'll keep this camera forever for nostalgia's sake, really. You know, it's probably one of the strongest bodies ever made. It's like a hefty thing, this. Weather sealed, super good. But I would have happily have bought one of these on eBay. Back in the day it was a couple of grand, but new it must have been like £4,000 or £5,000, and I paid maybe half that. So eBay is a fantastic place, and that's where you should be looking. And to get a general idea of what they're going for is you want to go sold and completed items. So as an example, let's look at the D3 right now. So here you go, Nikon D3, it's a 12 megapixel camera. I don't even remember these days. 9 bids on it. It's off 250 quid. Actually, as a first camera, you can't go wrong there. Ultimately, if you're going to buy your first camera, you probably want to get something with video. So like a D3S would work. That's a big body, but why not? It's maybe a little bit heavier, so you might want to go with something else. But just price-wise, 490 quid plus £10 postage. You really can't go wrong there. So that's kind of what they're going for. Which brings me to point number 2. So, okay, you found what camera you might want to be going for. Obviously, you can watch YouTube videos and see what people preference. I say you basically can't go wrong with Canon or Nikon for either photo or video. All the other brands have stuff going for them as well. Sony or whoever you choose, but personally, if you're mainly going for photography, I'd definitely suggest Nikon or Canon. And if you're going video, you might want to look at some of the others like Sony, but again, you can't go wrong with the main top brands, Nikon and Canon. You want to be looking at the shutter actuations. You just want to see how much the camera's done, and you'll kind of know how much of a beating it's taken throughout its life. So my Nikon D3, this camera's, I don't know, it's probably done like 300,000 photos or actuations. And I've known them to go up to 1 million. So if you found one with 500,000 actuations on it, probably be fine. Obviously you can find people only shoot like 20,000, 30,000 photos sometimes. Maybe not on these bigger cameras, but smaller ones. You can definitely find them that are basically brand new. Point number 3 is you really want to be looking at the condition of the camera from the photos. Often people put lots of photos on there, so that's quite good. But you want to ask the question, has it been used for video a lot? When it comes to video, people might be plugging in headphone jacks and stuff more often, so you want to make sure all the ports are good. And if it's been used consistently for like 30-minute clips, you might just wonder, you know, how much abuse has that sensor taken. Generally speaking, most people use it for photography. Most people are hobbyists, so the stuff on eBay is normally very good. You just kind of have to look around, and it kind of brings me on to point number 4. What's the reason for selling? Normally I want to understand, you know, what the person used it for, why they're selling it now. Are they selling other stuff? Could they maybe sell other stuff with it and just send it all in one go because it's a little bit easier? Less trips to the post office or whatever. So yeah, you can build up a rapport with someone. You can get a better understanding of, you know, what that camera's been good for them for, why they're moving to something else, why they're getting rid of it. So in 2020, it's okay to buy the slightly older mount sizes. Like I'm using a Nikon Z6. Basically, the like mounting point here is different on these slightly older cameras to the new ones. But that doesn't matter. You can still use the older lenses on the new bodies if you want to. But it doesn't make them out of date. They still work fantastic, especially if you're going just for photography purposes. If you want to dabble in video as well, you might want to think about going into the new systems. At that point, you basically buy it brand new because the used stuff isn't that much cheaper. You might find some that are a little bit cheaper, but it's kind of worth getting a warranty when you're kind of spending, you know, that kind of money, and there's a small difference in used and new prices, unless it's a big discount. And that brings me on to point number 5, and this is quite an important one. So a lot of things that people purchase these days, especially when people buy stuff new, they buy it on some sort of lease or finance thing, they're paying for it every month, which I personally don't do. There's obviously some things in life that make sense with, but particularly with camera equipment, it's quite good to just buy it. You know you own it, and when you come to selling it, you know you can just sell it whenever you want. And this is the big thing about owning a camera equipment. Okay, it's going to lose some value over time, but ultimately you get most of your money back. So maybe I lost like over £1,000 on my camera, but it's made me far more over those years. So actually, to have an asset that's still worth something by the end of it is fantastic. So there's 5 things you need to know about buying a used camera in 2020.